Hi everyone, I'm Rusty and I'm here today to talk about gerund in Portuguese. The first thing to know about gerund is that in Portuguese, gerúndio is equivalent to most of the times the ing ending in English. We make the gerund using NDO in the end of the verb. So if you study European Portuguese, you probably know that they often replace this structure with the letter a in front of the verb in its infinitive form. So let me give you an example. While the Portuguese would commonly say estou a falar contigo, I'm sorry I can't do accents, but I'm talking to you would be estou a falar contigo. And in Brazilian Portuguese, it's more common to say eu estou falando contigo, or even more common, eu estou falando com você. So you see, the verb to talk, falar, is seen in this sentence as falando, with NDO in the end of the verb. So the rule is, you got the verb, then you leave the R and add NDO. It could be ando, indo, or indo. Falando, talking or speaking. Comendo, eating. And sorrindo, smiling. So you have these possibilities. And the best thing is that it doesn't matter if it's a regular verb, irregular verb, it all ends with NDO. So now we should jump to the explanation, the case where you will find NDO in the end of one verb. The first example is when you use gerúndio to explain an action that took place just before the main clause. For example, terminando o jantar, todos foram para casa. In this phrase, you see that when they finished dinner, immediately after finishing dinner, they went home. That's what this phrase means. So, terminando, the main verb is terminar, to finish, and they add NDO in the end of the verb. Another way that you can use the gerund would be next to the main verb. For example, ela partiu chorando como bebê. So the main verb is to cry, chorar, and you have chorando. She left crying like a baby. The third example you use usually after the main clause. Sometimes it carries a meaning of consequence or purpose. So one example for this would be: as aulas foram canceladas, evitando que os alunos corressem perigo. And once again, we have the verb evitar in Portuguese, to avoid, and it becomes evitando. So the classes were cancelled, avoiding that the students would be in danger, would be put in danger. So evitando here, avoiding, explains why the classes were cancelled. And last but not least, we have what it's called gerundismo. It's common to think that there is something wrong to do in Portuguese because it's a fine line between using it right and wrong. So I'm gonna give you some examples, 2 examples to show the main difference. I was doing a little research on this topic and I read that one possible explanation for this to happen is that, like, deliver translation from English. One thing that works in English doesn't work in Portuguese, and this confusion happened. And now without further ado, I'm gonna tell you how it's the right form and the wrong form of doing this. So for this correct example, I have this phrase: Não me ligue de manhã, porque vou estar dirigindo. So here we have the verb to drive, dirigir, and then the phrase is dirigindo. So why is that the correct example? Because vou estar dirigindo, I will be driving, indicates an action that will be happening, because gerund is about an action in progress. It's like it's happening at that time. It doesn't matter if it happened in the past, it's happening now, or in the future, which is this case. I will be driving, but it will be continuously happen until a point when it ends. On the other side, we have the wrong example. So it's a classic, and it will be: minuto, por favor. Eu vou estar transferindo a sua ligação. So in English, a minute please, I'll be transferring your call. And why is that wrong? The explanation why this is wrong is because it's not a continuous action. The person will just transfer the call in one click or something. The person will not be like continuously transferring the call. So in Portuguese, it's not correct to say eu estarei transferindo, but you hear it a lot. Just before I go, I want to mention something, because there are some cases in English when the verb ends with ing and we cannot replace it with ndo in Portuguese. One good example is reading is good. You cannot say in Portuguese lendo é bom. In Portuguese, in this case, we use the infinitive form. Ler é bom. To read is good. Now I'm gonna give you an example that actually works if you push a little bit. So the phrase, I enjoy reading books. You could say, eu gosto de ler livros, which is more common, but if you push a little harder to make it look like the structure in English, you could say, eu me divirto lendo livros. Because I don't know if you could do it with another verb, but enjoy could be translated to both meanings. To like eu gosto, or to enjoy, like to have fun, divertir. Eu me divirto lendo livros. And I guess that's a wrap. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Ciao, ciao.